size difference.
Yeah, when he picked up Mikey and slammed him down, maybe that's one good scene, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, it seems to me like they really didn't make him, if that's what he got cast for, they really could have played that up more.
Yeah,
really,
I think so too. I think so too. But so that's the end of Daryll Crowe Jr. So now what we've got to do is we've got to wrap everything up. So let's see. Raylan arrives at the hospital. He finds that Art's awake. So that's good. Everybody's happy that Art's awake. He seems to be doing okay. Art asks him if he ever talked to Dave, right?
Oh,
Dan, the guy in Miami. Yeah, Dan, the guy in Miami, about the transfer to Florida. Apparently that got approved before Art got shot, but Art didn't tell Raylan. And so now he knows that he can have a transfer to Florida right away. Also, it appears as though Art has sort of kind of half forgiven Raylan because Raylan got revenge for Daryll Crowe Jr. shooting Art. So there's definitely, I wouldn't say that they have resolved their relationship, but they've definitely iced it over. It's not a giant gaping hole anymore. There's definitely at least a patchwork of a trapdoor over that hole now.
Yeah.
And then Raylan calls Winona to tell her, hey, I'm on my way to Florida. And Winona, who we haven't seen all season, has her baby there with her, and who we also haven't really seen all season. And she's very happy to hear that Raylan's coming because it means she can take a shower and a nap. So she's very excited. Anyone who has a young or an infant or newborn knows that feeling, I'm sure. But immediately after he talks to Winona, he goes to talk to Vasquez and Rachel, who tell him, yeah, you know what? Now's not the best time for you to be leaving for Florida because we are going after Boyd. We want to get him on RICO. We want to lock him up forever. We want to bring down his whole criminal enterprise. We are going after Boyd Crowder. And Raylan's like, well, why didn't you say so? Let's go get him. And Ava and Raylan, says, hey, I've got an idea. We can use Ava to get Boyd. And the next scene we see, we don't see Raylan specifically mention that to Vasquez and Rachel, but we see Ava heading home because Geist calls Boyd, tells him she's getting out because the cellmate changed her story, and Ficus recanted, both at the same time. And Ava jumps on the phone to tell Boyd she's heading to the country house, and he's like, that's where I am. And you start to hear the opening strains of "You'll Never Leave Harlan Alive" there in the background while she's telling him that she's heading home. And they have a conversation when she gets there. It's very awkward. She's going to go inside and take a bath and a nap and get some sleep in her own bed. We don't know quite how long she's been in prison. It feels like it's been about a month, maybe 6 weeks. Is that about your vibe?
Yeah, it seemed, it might maybe even longer than that, right? I mean,
do you think it's longer than that? It feels like 6 weeks. 6 weeks feels like the outside edge of that for me. Yeah, because the whole thing where they go to Mexico and they come back and they're trying to get the drugs, that takes place over like 3 days or 4 days.
Yeah, that's true. But she got put into jail the season finale of last season, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So there's some stuff that, if we remember the first few episodes of this season, we had the funeral home guy and his wife and that whole story that we haven't thought about for 8 episodes
season.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
So So Boyd asks her what's next for them. She kind of dodges the question, says she's going to take a bath and get some sleep, and that she hasn't really thought about anything beyond that at this point. So we don't know exactly what their relationship status is. She definitely doesn't tell him that he's not welcome there. So we don't know. But we find out because not long after Ava and Boyd meet, Ava and Raylan meet. to discuss the terms of their arrangement, and I have a clip of that.
What'd you tell Boyd?
I didn't tell him anything. He was busy tonight.
The night you get home.
That's why you wanted to meet? Ask me about my relationship.
The way this works, I ask you whatever I want. You tell me everything I ask.
Is this where we're gonna meet?
This is one.
I was surprised you had that U.S. attorney come make the offer. Didn't do it yourself.
Standard procedure.
But you made sure to have him tell me it was because of you I got out.
Ava, we get the feeling you ain't playing ball. It's gonna be me put you back in.
So you came here to threaten me?
I came here to go over the rules. How you make a call, how you record a conversation.
How I send an emergency signal, what to do if I'm in danger, yeah. That, Deputy Brooks, pretty black woman. She covered all that.
And you're clear.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're good.
I'm scared, Raylan.
Don't be. Everything's gonna be fine.
Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry. To the opening strains of You'll Never Leave Harlan Alive.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's such the policeman. Oh, I'm going to, we can put you in protective custody.
That's right. The only one who can save you is me. Yeah. I'm the only one who can protect you from all of this. Yeah. You've got to trust me.
I mean, on the other hand, it is, they do have a history, and so there's that also. But it does open up the way the rest of the thing.
Yeah, I mean, Raylan's being straight up cop dick with her, right? Like, you don't tell. I get the sense you don't tell me what's going on, I'm putting you back in jail.
That's right. That's right.
What's funny about all that is, because I was thinking about like the practical effect of how this works, right? They tell Geist, hey, the cellmate recanted and Ficus recanted. Or the cellmate changed their story and Ficus recanted. Now, obviously, that didn't actually happen, because if it had, Ava would just be out. like they would have no reason to hold Ava because she no longer committed the crime that she was accused of committing.
Yes.
And so what I wonder about is, do they know that it's all a bunch of bullshit and that Ficus did stab himself and they don't care? And they're just going to utilize this to, affect Ava's release from custody and flip her as a witness at the same time? Yeah. That's awful.
To leverage her. Yeah. Well, I guess that's the criminal justice system these days.
I know, but I'm still, that's the way it still shocks the conscience, right?
Yeah, if you have one, obviously you do. I suppose, I don't know, man. It's I think maybe that's one of the things that Raylan really has always been. He's always been more of a guy who really didn't care about the rules, but right. Like trying to see making sure justice is done.
Yeah, he wants to win. What his perception of
his
justice.
Perception. Yeah.
He wants to win. So yeah, that's that with Ava. Ava's now officially an informant. She's going to help build the RICO case against Boyd. We're not going to talk about RICO today because I knew we'd have enough other stuff to talk about. I didn't want to extend us with a law minute, but we'll talk about RICO next season when we start building the case against Boyd. Learn about what RICO is and why it exists and what it's used for, both legitimately and not legitimately, and learn some things about RICO. Like, I bet some things people didn't know, like that there's a private cause of action under RICO that you can make, not just a criminal enforcement action. You can civilly sue some organization under RICO. So that's fun.
Can't sue the government, though.
Can't sue the government under RICO. Nope. You can only sue the government for things the government allows themselves to be sued for.
Yeah.
It's called sovereign immunity.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. The government literally says, okay, you can sue us for X, Y, and Z, but not A, B, and C. And that's perfectly legitimate, even though we live in America. Actually, probably just because we live in America. but we're not quite done with the episode yet, because something that happened just before in the episode, but for purposes of our podcast, something that's happening at the same time as Ava and Raylan meeting. Boyd, Wynn, and Catherine Hale are meeting to resolve their situation. Boyd needs to deliver the heroin that he still has left to his partners. And they want to talk about a continued relationship with Boyd, despite Boyd maybe being done with the whole crime thing. So let's listen to that clip before we wrap up.
What are you going to do now, Boyd?
Well, John F. Kennedy said effort and courage don't mean anything without purpose and direction. I don't have either. So I'll probably be laying low for a little while.
Good money in that, is there?
Have a seat, Boyd.
This ain't gonna take but a minute. I'd rather stand.
Oh, come on, please.
Since you asked me that way.
How much do you know about me, Mr. Crowder? And please just be frank, because it'll save us both time.
Well, I know it takes a certain kind of woman to be married to a man like your husband.
And what kind of woman is that?
Well, I suppose that would depend on your level of involvement in his affairs.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
I don't need a weatherman to tell me which direction this wind is blowing. I'm done with heroin.
Well, there are other ways to make money.
The way my luck's been running lately, ma'am, I'm most likely not the man you're looking for.
When Catherine was in charge, all our luck seemed to change for the better.
You mean when her husband was in charge?
We're good.
Well, I guess that concludes our business.
Not necessarily.
You were lousy at running heroin, Boyd Crowder, but from what I'm told, you are really good at robbing banks.
That's right. Getting the band back together. Rob banks and blow shit up, Boyd.
You can tell his ears really perked up when he heard that.
He gets a smile on his face. He goes, yeah. He's a fan of this new plan. He's like, oh, I can do this. This is in my wheelhouse right here. Without consideration. I mean, it's hubris, right? It's absolute hubris, because he immediately understood. He's like, look, the luck that I've had lately, and it's not really luck, Boyd. It's the fact that Raylan is watching you like a hawk. That's the reason that you haven't been successful at anything so far. He's literally throwing monkey wrenches into everything you do, interrupting every meeting you have. It has nothing to do with luck. You've got the attention of the federals, and they're going to continue to mess with you until they bust you. But he has the hubris to think, oh, you know what? It's just bad luck, but let me get back to what I'm really good at, and I'll be just fine. So apparently Catherine Hale needs Boyd to rob a bank or two for her. And we'll find out more about that in season 6. So yeah, where's that leave us for season 6? Ava's an informant working with Raylan, Rachel Vasquez, and who else? Who knows who else are working on a RICO case against Boyd.
Yeah.
Boyd, Wynn, and Catherine are up to something with the Dixie Mafia, and it involves robbing banks. We don't know exactly what's going to happen there. So a lot going on, and all the pieces are positioned for season 6. So
we don't know what happens with Wendy and Kendall, assuming I guess we could assume they just left. They went back to Florida like they said they were going to do, right?
Yeah, that's what I think probably happens. Yeah, we don't ever hear or see what happens to them, but I'm sure that's what happened.
No.
Wendy wouldn't have gotten locked up for self-defense. Raylan wouldn't have let that happen, I don't think, because it would undermine the killing of Daryll Crowe, right? So, and the confession and everything else. So you don't want that. So that's that. And we the only other person who we don't really see what happens to them is the social worker Allison, right? But we get word that she stopped by to say hello to Art, so she's probably fine.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, let's talk about season 5 for a minute here. What do you got, man? Favorite, least favorite moment? Did you have a favorite episode? Did you have a favorite character? Anything like that? Least favorite?
Oh man, I think with this season because it's, I don't want to say it's forgettable, but I really wasn't into it as the other ones. But some of the stuff was good. I mean, Wendy, like we had mentioned earlier, Wendy does have